Today, one of probably my favorite topic. I should have done this one right at the start. It's a method that the first time I heard of it, I was doing a review appraisal, and I thought the appraiser was kind of blowing smoke when he said he did some adjustment by sensitivity analysis. But what do you know? The Appraisal of Real Estate 15th edition, which is part of our body of knowledge, actually makes a statement about what sensitivity analysis is, and we're going to be talking about that before we get started. So the Appraisal of Real Estate 15th does state what quantitative adjustments are. And these are the ones that we think of: paired data, in other words, paired sales, group sales, secondary analysis, which we talked about last week, survey results applied to a property, statistical analysis. What we're going to be doing today might fit into this category. I'll let you decide. And then cost-related adjustments, depreciated cost is my favorite. But you'll notice that sensitivity analysis is not mentioned as one of the quantitative adjustments. But if we are on the same page in the book, it makes this statement: paired data and group data analysis are variants of sensitivity analysis, which is a method used to isolate the effect of individual variables on value. And that's what adjustments are really all about. We're trying to isolate the effect that a variable has on the value. And two examples they give, it's an umbrella term. Two things under the umbrella are paired sales and group data. And I guess I would add to it adjusted pairs. So I'm going to go to Solomon at this point. Okay, the Solomon adjustment calculator. And before we go further, I just wanted to say that we have resources here for you. This is kind of a self-study video. It's the whole Solomon calculator component broken up into chapters, so you can watch each one separately. Under resources, there's other training videos, and user manual itself. I'll show you where that is. So right in the user manual, at the end of each of these chapters, there is some wording that you can use to support an adjustment, explaining your adjustments. Let's see, scroll down right there, explaining your adjustments. So again, today we're going to be looking at sensitivity analysis, and we're going to be isolating the effect of a variable on the value. So my first example is going to be site size. And let's assume in the grid that you're down to your last adjustment. You've supported all the other adjustments, and you're wondering if there should be a site adjustment, a site size adjustment. So comp 1 has a 10,000 square foot site. The adjusted sale price after all other adjustments is $400,000. Comp 2 has got 12,000 square feet, and after all other adjustments, it's 405,000. And then comp 3 is 8,000 square feet, and it has an adjusted sale price of $390. Now, when I click analysis, a scatter plot is developed that has a line of best fit between the three data points. And then it also shows the adjustment rate, in this case, $3.75 per foot. And if you look close up at this formula, $3.75 times the number of square feet plus 360,000, that would be, equals the value. R square is 96.4. R square is called the coefficient of determination, and what it means is that the change between adjusted sale price, 96% of that change is due to the change in site size. Now, let's just do another quick example change from 390 to 385. I think we've got people's microphones hot in the background. Now when I click analysis, the adjustment is larger. It's at $5 per foot. And notice that there's not as good of a fit between site size and adjusted sale price. We've dropped down to 92% for the adjusted, for the coefficient of determination. I would still make that adjustment, but I would also consider going back to just the first two, if this made more sense to you. And now we're doing an adjusted pair, right? 10,000 feet is $400,000. 12,000 feet is 405. So for the extra $5,000, there's 2,000 square feet. That means each foot is worth $2.50. So sensitivity, because that's a broader topic than adjusted pairs or paired sales, this is an example of adjusted pairs. If there were no adjustments, if these are just the values, like say from a couple of MLS sales that were matched in every other way, then this would be called paired sales. And it's a good way to document it, take a screenshot, put it in your work file. A second calculation that we can do right here is where I clear values. It does not clear the title. On this one, I'm going to be doing an age adjustment. And I believe Fannie Mae says that we do need to explain how we develop an age adjustment. So this is one way to do that. I'm going to start with the assumption that we're going to be appraising a 25-year-old house. It's in an outlying area where there's not a lot of comparables. A lot of the housing stock is older. Some of it's new. But let's say we found a very good comp that was 20 years old, and the adjusted sale price was, excuse me, I've got to move my notes a little bit here, $350,000. Then we had a 30-year-old house, another good comp, $345. And the only reason that that an age adjustment seems to be needed is because the other comp that we're going to be using, for one reason or another, it's probably the only one that brackets some feature, for instance. But an 85-year-old house and an adjusted sale price is $330. So now when we click analysis,
Seminar, I'm not
we see
video or anything.
a 99% coefficient of determination. Say, Ryan, if you can hear me, could you turn off the microphones, please? Thanks. So there's a 99%, and you can see that by how close these data points are. But 99% of this change is because of this change. And to show you how that math works, remember we were appraising a 25-year-old house. So we've got an 85. The adjustment is going to be for 60 years, right? 85 minus 25 is 60 years. 60 times, let's call that 296, is a $17,000 adjustment. Add that to the 330. And you can see what it's doing is it's finding the lowest range. It fits this 347 right between the 350 and 345. Now, if any of these numbers change, you're going to see quite a bit different results. Let's say we've got $90 or 90 years of age and a 335 adjusted sale price. Now we've got a $200 adjustment. So I guess the point here is that sensitivity analysis is very sensitive. So be careful with it. In fact, these numbers, the way that we got to these numbers, the adjustments we made for these properties, whether it was a market change adjustment or concessions or GLA or bedrooms or whatever else we adjusted to get to this point, this result is only as good as the results that went into the calculation. So that's an age adjustment using sensitivity analysis. I'm going to switch over to a bedroom adjustment. Now, bedrooms do not have a cost. I tried to figure out the cost of a bedroom at one point.
Yeah.
Say we've got some people with hot mics. I think Belinda and Wendy and Jim, if you could turn your mics off.
Sorry.
That's all right. It's embarrassing, I know. But you didn't say anything funny, so that's all right. I've been known to do that. So let's look at a bedroom count adjustment. Let's assume that we have a 4-bedroom house and the adjusted sale price is $400,000. And we've got a 5-bedroom house and the adjusted sale price is $402,000. Click analysis, and we discover this $2,000 bedroom adjustment, which would warm the heart of my dear mentor, Jim, because he thought bedrooms were adjusted at $2,000 a piece, whether it was 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 5 bedrooms. But every once in a while, he will confirm something that you already believe, which is called confirmation bias. So please don't use, please don't get caught up in confirmation bias. Let's say that we went a little bit further on this one and we have a 4-bedroom house that was $392,000.
While we are certainly,
I think Cece's got her mic on.
decisions are going. Let me turn it off.
Thank you.
Until there is one, I'm just not going to get anything that you will.
If I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry, but a 4-bedroom house, 4 bedrooms at $400,000, 5 at $402,000, 4 at $392,000, and 5 at $400,000. So now we see only a 42% coefficient of determination. At this point, I would be wondering if there's even a requirement for a bedroom count adjustment. Keep in mind that 0.42 coefficient of determination, notice that that's R squared. That would be an R of probably over 6, probably closer to 7, right? 0.7 times 0.7 is 0.49. So it's up to you. But at this point, I think I would be not making a bedroom count adjustment. And that was one of the biggest eye openers when I started with Solomon, because I was trained bedroom, bathroom, GLA, and that's what I had seen in all the real estate ads in my market. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that a 5-bedroom is worth more than a 4-bedroom. It might just be a different buyer. But I started talking with people that were doing VA appraisals, and they were taught not to do bedroom adjustments because they were double dipping on the GLA. It didn't make sense to me. I thought a bedroom was a pretty functional use of space. But when I started running my numbers through sensitivity analysis, I discovered that more often than not, a bedroom count was not warranted. So that was a big aha for me after doing about 5,000 appraisals. So again, confirmation bias, right? Whenever you see something that confirms what you already believe, that's the hardest kind of a bias to avoid. So at this point, I want to clear the data and show that we can do something that does not have a number associated. Now, I know condition has a rating system in the UAD. You know, a condition of 3 is higher than a condition of 4, for instance. The way the math works in this tool, it has to be an ascending number system. So in other words, 3 is average, 4 is good, 5 is best, 2 is below average, and 1 is poor. I like to think of this as like giving something a 5-star rating, like a hotel or a restaurant. So let's assume that we've got an average quality or average condition house, 400,000, and we've got a better condition house. It's a Q4 at 430. Whoop. Now, again, this is adjusted pairs. Let's say that you're pretty comfortable with these two being representative of the difference in condition. You know, we could do that in our head. A lot of us do, but this is a way to document it. But there's more data. Here's another 3-condition house. Whoops. I'm sorry, guys. So 395, then a 4 at 435. So if you were going to do adjusted pairs, the first question is it 30,000 because that's the difference between these two properties, or is it a larger difference because you're comparing these two properties, right? That'd be a $40,000 adjustment. So the way sensitivity works is it finds the best fit line through the data points, and in this case, it gives us a $35,000 condition adjustment. Now, the way that the numbering system works, this could be quality. And again, you need to rate quality on an ascending scale, 3 being average, 4 being better, 5 being the best. You could also use it for something like view. And then the other idea might be location. The idea is that you have to rank the properties by location, by view, or by quality, or by condition in order for this to work. And I would imagine by now you're wondering what happens if it has both a location and a view difference. Well, what you do is do the easier one first. Like if you've got some pretty solid data on location by other means, like surrounding values or something, do the location first by that method and then use this as the final method, or do location with an adjusted pair and then use sensitivity for all 4 properties. It does take a little bit of practice and some common sense. You know, I know what the numbers say, but as the old saying goes, not everything that can be measured counts, and not everything that counts can be measured, and that's why they still need human appraisers. Now we'll go to another favorite, GLA adjustment. And I know that we've got a tool in Solomon Cost for GLA adjustment, but sometimes sheer cost is really not the issue. So let's say we've got a 2,000 square foot house, $350,000 adjusted sale price, 2,500 square foot house with the $380,000 selling price, and then a 2,800 square foot house with a $400,000 sale price. When I click analysis, I get 2 things. I get an adjustment rate, $62 per foot, but I also get this very high coefficient of determination, like saying everything else before these adjustments is either very good or very lucky, but we're finding that the big difference now after everything else is adjusted is GLA, and that's the number. Now, there's a related tool to sensitivity analysis. It works by doing a scatter plot. The way this one would work is you would take $62.25 times the number of square feet plus $225,000. That's scientific notation to get the value of any house. Okay. So this tool, forecast, might come in handy because you could say, okay, GLA is the independent variable, and I want to figure out the value, a 2,200 square foot house. So remember, we had a 2,000 foot house and a 2,500 square foot house and a 2,800 square foot house. The adjusted sale prices were, I believe, let me go back in my notes, $350, 380 and 400. And when I click forecast, it does the same scatter plot. It's got the same equation, but it uses that equation to figure out, it plugs 2200 in for the X variable here. So 62.245 times 2,200 square feet plus this $252,000 gives you the inferred value. So you could think of that as a very, very small AVM. The reason I designed this, it wasn't for GLA. It does work for that. But what I had in mind was I had to figure out site values, not very often, but every once in a while for like say 2 to 20 acre properties that were vacant. I needed those land sales to support a site adjustment for a property that I was appraising in one of those areas where there's not a lot of comparables. So let's say my county records had a 3 acre site that sold for 125 and a 7 acre site that sold for 150 and a 9 acre site that was 152, call it 153 as long as I already hit the typo. And then another 7 acre site that was 145. And the question I'm trying to solve is what is the value of a 5 acre site? So if I type 5 acres here, this number's not correct because I haven't calculated it yet. But it says that the inferred value of that site is $136,000. There's a 0.95 coefficient of determination. The cost or the value of each acre is $4,900, and the cost, or excuse me, it's $112,000 just for the right to build a house in this area. This 1116 e to the fifth is scientific notation for $112,000. Now, I just had a happy accident, I think. I'm doing an appraisal in a place called Denmark Township. It's a beautiful area just east of St. Paul, between St. Paul and the St. Croix River. So you can picture these rolling hills. There's some farmland that's been converted into single family, but most of it is kind of bluff country with a lot of creeks, little tributaries that run into the St. Croix River. So it's a beautiful place to have an acreage parcel. So I had these sales in Denmark Township, 2.37 acres for 120. All the way up to $850,000 for 61 acres. And I happen to be appraising a parcel, it's still on my desk, that's got 29 acres. So I almost fell out of my chair when I found out that I had this 0.99% coefficient of determination, and that the inferred value of that 29 acre site is $478,000. Now, it never works this way. I mean, that was a pretty rare thing for me to find that on this current job that I'm working on. But it is a pretty powerful tool to find either the inferred value of a house with a certain amount of GLA, like we showed, or the inferred value of an acreage site when you've got some data to go from. I mean, we can see right here that 29 acres it's going to be between 375 and 700. That's a pretty wide range, but adding the other data and drawing the line of best fit through those data points gives us a very reasonable answer. And by the way, this is for an estate. Those sites were older sales because this gentleman died about 2 years ago. So at this point, I just wanted to hop back to Solomon real quick. The features that we're talking about today came later after we had Solomon Adjustment up and running. Solomon Adjustment is primarily depreciated cost adjustments. So we figured what can we do for the other half of the adjustments, right? All the adjustments above bedroom and bathroom line are related to, condition, location, those types of things. So we developed Solomon Plus. And when you subscribe, you can have a free trial, 14 days, and that includes Solomon Plus. That's all those plus features: secondary data, sensitivity analysis, forecast. We do have a less expensive option, just the Solomon subscription that a lot of people have. And this can be canceled anytime. So if you do want to upgrade to Solomon Plus monthly, you can do it that way. If you have a Solomon annual, if you just simply sign up for Solomon Plus, it will apply the credit that you have toward Solomon Plus. And if there's anybody that gets tangled up with that, let me know and I'll help them through it. So again, the resources, I just wanted to show this one more time. Recommended commentary will give you a Word document. And explain your adjustments is also a document that has an explanation of adjustments in it. So I think we're just about at the bottom of the hour, as they say in radio. So let's open it up for questions. I'm going to check out the chat. I've got a few questions here. Does the print report button work? Yes. If you click print report, you'll get a PDF that can either be, for instance, put in one of your electronic folders if you use Dropbox or something like that, or you can print a paper copy and put it in the result. And here's Matt. He's got a link to the Flex appraisal form. And then Carl's got a very good question. What is the minimum R squared that I feel is kind of the break even, or where would you make or not make an adjustment? And that's a really good question, because I've heard George Dell, kind of the master of statistics for appraisers, when he does regression, that's actually called time series analysis. The R square is very, very low, but we all know that just the date something sells doesn't cause the value. It has a slight effect. So in that case, a low R squared is just fine. To me, if they're anything above, let's say 50, I'm feeling pretty good, because remember, R squared, the square root of R that would be like a 70% correlation. And now here's Paul says, do you interchange sale price and adjusted sale price once or twice? If you're using this to do an adjusted pair, you would have to use adjusted sale price. If you want to use it for just paired sales, it would not be adjusted. But to me, there's very few opportunities for paired sales, because there are things like, non-physical differences, like the market change adjustment and whether or not there are concessions. So I would say you look long and far before you find an actual pure pair with no other adjustments.